if LeBron James is the greatest of all time, shouldn't he be able to win at least one game without AD against the Phoenix Suns? Hell, win a half at Staples Center without AD, despite being up.
Yo,
I'm not.
You know what, NBA? This is what happens when you give a fucking Lakers fan LeBron James.
Yeah.
All right? He wins you a championship, and then this is what happens. You get this rant.
You're being too honest.
Did you watch the game last night? Mic check 1 2 1 2. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Laced Up Podcast. I'm Flight Mike here with
Flight Mike.
Korzemba.
And all right, guys. So did you happen to? I think the only basketball game we had yesterday was the Portland Trailblazers versus the Denver Nuggets. So did you guys happen to catch Damian Lillard's 55-point masterpiece?
Yeah, we're not gonna let you off that easy. We are definitely gonna be talking about your boys, the Lakers. You know,
my Lakers played last night.
At least you got a team, but to be embarrassed on a national stage like that's kind of tough. Yeah, let's talk some Dame though, first and foremost, because I feel like, everything Lakers related, it's like that is always emphasized. Damian Lillard put up 55 points and 10 assists last night in a double overtime loss to a team that is missing their near all-star level point guard in Jamal Murray. Like, how do we feel about this? Because the Blazers aren't really missing anyone. Guys, we have already stated that we are going to be doing the PS5 or Xbox Series X giveaway at 40,000 subscribers. We're almost getting there. You guys are crushing it. Well, we're about halfway there, but on top of that, we want to do a bonus giveaway for Apple Podcast listeners, for people who leave us a 5-star review.
We're going to pick one of those reviews to win $100 each and every week. We're going to announce the winners on our community tab, and this way we can start giving back to you guys as soon as possible. I think Damian Lillard is one of the biggest tragedies in. I hope I'm not sounding too melodramatic, but he's a huge tragedy in the NBA because, first of all, I love how he's old school. I love how he feels loyal to Portland. I love how he calls Rip City his own. But at the same time, I feel like I'm watching one of the best point guards in league history just fizzle away on a team that just isn't capable of giving him the support that he deserves. And I'm not saying CJ McCollum's terrible. I'm not saying Yusuf Nurkic is terrible. I'm not saying that Carmelo Anthony's terrible. But when you see the level of competition this guy has to go up against, it just makes you wonder, what if he had a supporting cast that like LeBron gets? Or what if he was in a system
or any
similar to...
I'll go out and say, like, it feels like Dame throughout his career has always been overmatched. Like, Russell Westbrook walks in as a point guard. He's got James Harden and Kevin Durant. Derrick Rose, young point guard, goes into a situation, wins the MVP, of course, not taking anything away from my boy D Rose, who I hope we talk about in a little bit as well, but goes in. He's got Joakim Noah. He had Carlos Boozer. He had Luol Deng. He had a bunch of vets and just very solid players. Joakim Noah was first team All-NBA a year or two after Derrick Rose's MVP season. So you got guys like that. You got Steph Curry, who's got Clay, Draymond his entire career. Like top point guard, you got Kyrie with LeBron. Top point guards around the NBA have been surrounded by championship talent time and time again, and they've all gotten their chance. Like, you can't, I don't want to make this a Russell Westbrook hating podcast, but you can't sit there and be like, Russell Westbrook never had enough talent ever to win a championship. You can't say the same thing about Chris Paul, who, I love Chris Paul, great point guard, but he had a bunch of talent. Have the Blazers ever had enough talent? Like, ever? Because CJ McCollum has never made an all-star team. Let's be honest here. Like, CJ, he has his games. He's a good player. He's a great player, like, for what he does. He's not an all-star. He's not even a single-time all-star. So, yeah, I agree with you. I mean, it's tough with Dame's career. Like, it's the classic scenario of, what if you were drafted to a different team? What if your career played out a different way?
GLC, what do you think, bro? By the way, digging the shirt today, Coop, really liking it. What do you think about the situation?
Yeah, this is my little microphone shirt. I only pull it out on special occasions. I deem today one of those occasions. But with Damian Lillard, with Dame, It's just a little frustrating because it's like he's been loyal to a fault. And like, I think it's awesome to applaud players in this day and age for staying with their teams and all that, like Flight Mike said. But to co-sign Mike Korzemba, I mean, like, yeah, CJ is probably the best player that Dame has ever played with. Now, one thing that really frustrates me with the Blazers is we haven't seen the Blazers like go out and really go as hard as they can to try to acquire another star. Say what you want about Daryl Morey and the Harden era and the Houston Rockets, but hey, it didn't work out. They had a good shot. They had stars. They had players. They switched things up a ton of times, and they lost all their picks in the process. That's something that I would have loved to see with Damian Lillard. How many years can CJ be your best player? And you look at the same results season after season after season.
Yeah, so guys, we are capping off the giveaway to the first 40,000 subscribers that turn on our notifications for the Laced Up podcast. All you have to do to enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X is subscribe, hit that notification bell. If you want to do us a favor, leave a like on the pod and let me know in the comment section down below when it's done. You'll enter for a chance to win a PlayStation 5 or an Xbox Series X. Yeah, and bear in mind, like, Morey did that in Houston despite having a super cheap owner that like really didn't want to sniff luxury tax. So like, he somehow pulled it off by being like a guy that hardcore embraced analytics. And something to add on to what Coop says, it's really interesting to me because, you know, I started watching the NBA in the early 2000s, and it seems to me that the Portland Trailblazers as a franchise historically have always just been here, like on the fringe of contention, like a team that consistently makes it to the playoffs or almost has it figured out, almost has that championship core, but something happens and it doesn't work out. You go back to the LaMarcus Aldridge, Greg Oden, and Brandon Roy era, then even a little bit before with the Portland Jailblazers. Is that what they called them? Like,
yeah,
it's insane.
Yeah, looking, their last trip to the finals was in 1992 with, Clyde Drexler throwing to the people that are watching on YouTube the little shrug, Mike ate him up. Pause. But last finals appearance 1992. Since then, they've made the Western Conference Finals twice. I think, in 2000 and 1999. They made it recently, where they got taken down by the Warriors. I mean, that was their best playoff run in quite some time. Since 2000. A lot of franchises would love to have this franchise history, I will say. Like, if you were a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, if you're a Kings fan, like, you're loving being you'd much rather have this than just consistently be bad. But I know what you guys are saying in terms of like, did they just fail and never take a risk? Because at this point, I mean, you get bounced in the first round. Like, Dame, you're loyal, man, but I want you to leave at this point. Like, as someone who's like, yes, I love loyalty, go to a team that is going to contend.
Yeah, bro. I think just NBA fans in general, like, we want to see Dame, do something different. I mean, look, hey, I know a lot of people got on Giannis for staying, but the Bucks got so much better. Like, at this day and age, I don't think it's crazy to say that Drew Holiday, who's probably the Bucks' third best player, I'd make an argument for second, but Drew Holiday would easily be the best player that Dame has ever played with, in my opinion. And that's kind of crazy to say.
I mean,
okay, well,
we're also forgetting
keep in
LaMarcus
mind,
Aldridge.
Dame did play with Marcus Aldridge, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, yeah. I definitely forgot about LaMarcus Aldridge. Yeah. How many years did they play together? Two? Like 2
years, yeah.
Yeah.
At least 3. 3 years.
So here's where my head's at, because, I'm a fan of the NFL as well. And I feel like there is a way to solve this issue, because I think on one hand, I don't like how teams go out, like how players go out and form these super teams, even though like the Lakers kind of benefited from it, sort of. But as much as I don't like it, I don't blame the players for doing so because it's the only way to succeed in today's NBA. And the one way, obviously, you can't compare football to basketball as a sport, but the one way that I think that could potentially be controlled, and this is going to make free agency significantly more boring, is if the NBA integrated some sort of franchise tag.
No,
yeah, it would be horrible.
Pay the players. No, franchise tagging. I don't want to go too far and say some crazy shit, but it seems like it just does not seem fair. That's what I'll say. It's literally
agreed.
It's insane that you could just do that. So like I think the NBA is very progressive and very I think that's the league you want to look at compared to the NFL in terms of contracts. The NBA, their players get paid and they get guaranteed money and they make it. NFL contracts where how crazy is it? I mean, this is a side note, but how crazy is it? How dangerous the NFL is? How like you take a pounding on your brain and everything. And because it's so dangerous, even though it's a money-making machine, they won't guarantee your contract, even though that's the nature of the sport, is that it's dangerous.
Well, I think like there's nothing against like them fully guaranteeing your contract. You could get a fully guaranteed contract if
I'm saying a lot of guys don't.
Yeah, a lot of guys don't. And I'm not necessarily saying that's their fault, but if they really like want it, if you're like good enough and you really wanted a fully guaranteed contract, I think you'd be able to find a team willing to give it to you. And I'm talking about like high-end talent. I think the structure is really unfortunate too, like you said, but
I think the culture, like I'll agree with you with the high-end talent, but I think the culture around talent that maybe isn't elite of the elite, and you even see elite of the elite get franchise tagged and get stuck in situations that they don't want to be in certain positions. But around the league, I mean, Mike, you know football way more than me, but around the league, it seems like, a lot of non-guaranteed contracts that people miss out on money for. And like the NBA, it's not like that. NBA, high level, high action, high level physicality sport. Those guys are still making their money. Freaking Chandler Parsons made every cent of his until whatever happened, and Chandler Parsons didn't deserve that at all, but he got paid.
Well, the NFL does have Chandler Parsons like stories. Like for the NFL, the equivalent of Chandler Parsons is Sam Bradford. A player that consistently got injured, but I think at the end of his career, if I'm not wrong, I'm just saying this off the top of my head, he made something like, I think $150 million, something like that. And he played.
Did he was all his guaranteed?
Man.
Some
his signing bonuses were.
I think with guaranteed money is just so weird. It's like you're taking the risk of a player. Like, I mean, like, again, I think it's just a change in culture. I think it's like the NFL that is accepted. That's what they've always done. And the NBA, what they've like, they make guaranteed money. So that's why it stays as it is.
At the same time,
I don't know.
Go ahead.
Well, I was just gonna say, like, the NFL is a dangerous ass sport. It is. Football's so dangerous. I just don't like the fact that the players get penalized for playing such a dangerous sport. When no matter what, the owners are making their money. No matter what, TV companies are making their money. Like the only people that are getting hurt are the players. So that's kind of where I'm at in terms of, I don't like the non-guaranteed money.
Yeah.
Especially with that becoming a widespread thing.
Well,
so I definitely would say no to a franchise.
While I would love like the player, or wait. While I would love like the owners and like the league to show more initiative and like, guarantee their contracts, I think it starts with the players. And I think unfortunately, like there's going to have to be like another lockout or something big is going to have to happen where everybody bonds together. And it is like, we're not. What's up?
There's ways to get around this. Like you could
pay
the guy
there have been lockouts,
without him being on your cap too. There's like creative solutions to this that are just not like, okay, like sure, if you're playing like football, people do get more injured. Sure. Okay. Still pay the guy, like, but have a hardship waiver.
And to add on to what you were saying, Coop, sorry that we cut you off. The CBA expired this past year, like about a year ago. And in my opinion, like I'm an NFL fan, I would love there to be no lockout. But when I saw what they agreed upon, it was the most pitiful negotiation I think I've ever seen in my entire life. Like the players
Who's
got
their
something
guy?
like, I don't know who their guy is. I think Richard Sherman was doing it. Let me see, NFLPA president.
That lockout, I mean, that the CBA stuff, that's always like so shady to me, because like, are the big players' interests going to be the same as like the smaller players' interests?
No,
like,
we saw Chris Paul do something that it benefited himself.
Yeah,
a
like
little
exactly.
bit.
Like,
I mean, I'm not
know.
saying Chris Paul didn't do a good job, but like, yeah.
I know what you're saying though, and it's like, ideally you want a leader that has everybody's interest at hand, but like, I don't know if that's like a possibility.
It is interesting. It's definitely interesting. I mean, you have to think that they're also getting heavy counsel from like some lawyer, right? Like I don't think Chris Paul's just sitting down with the owner. They have to be. These are like freaking numbers that are above any of our pay grades. Freaking.
Wait, but I don't know if Sherman did. I don't know if Sherman's
we'll see what Sherman. I don't know about that. Whatever. I have no idea.
Sherman
I'm assuming Chris Paul has like a lawyer that like, you know, specializes, went to school, knows everything about what's going on in the salary cap, because the salary cap, if you look at it, it's mad complicated.
So Sherman, for the NFLPA, it was J.C. Treader and DeMaurice Smith, but I know Richard Sherman had a huge hand in it. I know Richard Sherman, he's notorious for not having an agent because he wants to be a general manager eventually, so he negotiates his own deals.
Which was a bad one. His last one was a bad one. It worked out, but it was a bad deal.
Yes. And if it was up to me, if I was playing in the NFL, I probably would want a guy that's like a journeyman quarterback or like a middle to low tier quarterback.
I wouldn't want a quarterback. I mean,
a player that like went to Harvard. I'm pretty much saying I would want Ryan Fitzpatrick there. Harvard man.
I don't want Ryan Fitzpatrick there.
Okay, I think we're getting way too much into
the people
NFL
that get
talks.
screwed. I feel like in these things are like the top cornerbacks in the league. Like they end up getting franchise tagged. They don't make the money they should be. Whatever. Regardless, you know what? Let's switch it up. You're right. Let's switch it up.
Yeah.
I do want to make a little distinction that popped into my head. What do you guys think? Do you guys think that there's a difference between, you know, forming a super team? Because we hear a lot about super teams, right? A difference between forming a super team or just signing one guy, going and signing with a team. Because let's say Damian Lillard goes and signs, I don't know, let's say Lakers. Let's just say, or he goes to a team like that. You know, that is a very different thing, in my opinion, than what the Miami Heat did. They all left together and joined together and created a super team. They formed one. Like the Brooklyn Nets, that's a little bit different, I think, in my head. You know, they were practicing together. They forced that trade. James Harden, it worked out. I mean, I feel like we're going to look back at that trade. I mean, I don't know how we'll look back at it because of all the picks they have.
We're already laughing at it.
It's crazy. It's crazy. Like, looking back at it, James Harden walked into this season and he went, I want to only play for the Brooklyn Nets. That's all I want to play for. And they're like, you have no leverage. What are you talking about? You still have a year left on your, 2 years left on your contract. You can't do this. And then he ended up there. That is insane. So I feel like, what do you guys think in terms of like forming a super team? Because in my opinion, you know, if you kind of do that, at this point, the NBA has gotten to a level where I'm like, do whatever you want, put out the best product on the floor. Like, I think like loyalty, I love it, of course, especially to
like I want my views to go up. You know? Just put the best product on the floor. Like,
but I'm just saying, like, I feel like there are levels to this. Do you agree? Where it's like, yeah, there's the creation of the super team, or there's like the Damian Lillard type star who it's not working out for him. And then he joins a team and like takes them to that next level.
Wait, I'm not sure I understand the question. Are you asking?
I'm talking about a lot of people hate on super teams. All right.
So you're asking what's better.
And they hate on the culture of like this super team thing. I'm not saying what's better. I'm saying I think there's a distinction. I think that like forming a super team, doing something what LeBron did, forming a big three, kind of forming what happened in Brooklyn. I think those things are different than just a guy leaving his team and signing with another one.
So with your rationale, the 2008 Boston Celtics weren't a super team because both Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett were traded for.
They're a big three. Their formation.
Okay. All right.
Their formation was I agree with that. Their formation was their Danny Ainge created that team. He made trades to make that team. He had assets in place that created that team. That's a different thing to me. I think people hate in the media like too much on like these super teams and this is ruining the NBA and stuff. Yeah, like I think that Paul Pierce And Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen trades are the perfect example of the opposite. Like, you had a star in Paul Pierce, and you were able to go and get 2 other stars in Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett, and you built a team. Boom. Like, I don't think, like, you see that those big 3, though, they get grouped right back in. You see the original big 3 were the Lakers. Like, people will be like freaking James Worthy, Kareem, Magic. Like, and then you see, like, you know, big 3 Celtics. I just think, like, what LeBron did in Miami is a lot different. And I don't think it should be grouped in as much as it gets grouped in.
GLC, what do you think?
I was just going to say, when it comes to super teams, I don't know. I'm kind of like on both sides of it. Like, right now, the NBA's fire, and so we're calling the Brooklyn Nets a super team, right?
Yeah, they've got freaking
Blake Griffin
2
off the bench as a
MVPs
super team.
and
Yeah.
And,
all right, so we're calling the Brooklyn Nets a super team. Well, like, there's no promise that the Nets are going to win the championship right now. Like, they're a super team, but they're a team that, you know, comes with its own flaws. When I think like super, I mean, we got to call them a super team. But when I think super team, is it fair to call like the Kevin Durant Golden State Warriors a super team?
Yes.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah,
right?
so they're like
Yeah.
the
Okay. I'm
definition.
just checking. I'm just checking the temperature. I'm just checking the temperature. My bad.
well, I think what you're just doing right now is you're talking pre how we see them perform and post. Like, regardless, the Brooklyn Nets are a super team at this point. Will they live up to that like title of a super team? We'll see. But I mean, when you put this much talent with this many accolades, with surrounded by a cast, freaking the fact that the Brooklyn Nets still have Joe Harris is just mind blowing.
I mean, it's crazy. It's crazy. Well run.
So
team.
I'd say they're a super team. Yeah. I mean, maybe if you wanted to, we could give them a label like a super team in waiting.
Yeah.
Until you earn it.
See. So when it comes to like the super teams, like I'm on both sides. Like, is it good for basketball? Yeah. Does it suck sometimes as a fan? Also, yeah. Like the Miami Heat, the Heatles gave me like some of the best basketball I ever watched. Right. The same with the Golden State Warriors and Kevin Durant. Like, that was some of the most exciting stuff ever. Like, say what you want about them. I had fun. I didn't miss a game. But as like a general NBA fan, like if your team's competing, like you're gonna be like, oh yeah, well this sucks, like, you know?
Yeah. Like when are the Bulls gonna be?
Yeah, well, when's it our turn
Nets right now?
Yeah.
Like, but it's like it seems crazy. Like, or you're a Sacramento Kings fan, like how do we turn this into that? Like, it just seems outrageous.
If you're following players, like, yeah, you're probably all in on the super team stuff. But like if you're a fan of like an NBA team, like it's a little rougher. I really should just be a fan of players. Like, they really got the system figured out. Like,
but I won't be. Chicago Bulls till I die, baby.
Well, you can make
glory years behind us.
You can make legitimate arguments and call some of these other teams that like were a trade away from contention, like your definition of a big 3. Like, for example, Phoenix Suns are CP3, DeAndre Ayton, and Devin Booker a big 3. They have a great supporting cast around them as well. They have Jay Crowder, campaign, a great coach in Monty Williams. Or how about teams that were supposed to be a big 3, like the Minnesota Timberwolves, D'Angelo Russell, Karl Anthony Towns, Anthony Edwards.
See, this is where we're getting too far. Big 3.
No, I'm not calling them a super team. No.
But I'm saying
you're trying to call them a super team?
I mean, every team has 3 best players. DeAndre Ayton's not an all-star this year. And Chris Paul is 35.
No. It's my turn. Lonzo Ball, Brandon Ingram, Zion.
That's what I'm saying. You can name every team's 3 best players.
Yeah. No, I'm saying, like, at what point do you call this team a big 3? At what point? When they win a championship? When they become a top 3 seed? Because there's a lot of these moves that are made that are kind of similar to what the Boston Celtics did when they added Kevin Garnett,
maybe
who
when there's
was
3
a
All-Stars.
12-year vet. All right, 3 All-Stars, fair.
I think that
I'd say even maybe a little bit further. I'd say 3 All-Stars with maybe 1 transcendent talent.
Yeah. I'll agree on that.
All right,
But I mean, you can still call
because
it a
like
big
Devin
3
Booker
if it's
is
3
not
All-Stars.
Is Devin Booker gonna even make second team All NBA this year? Because he never has. So that means he's never been ranked as a top 10 player in the NBA. And DeAndre Ayton, again, I've loved DeAndre in this.
DeAndre Ayton's never been an All-Star though.
But he's never been an All-Star. Exactly. So it's like you can't call that a big 3. Like. And, like, it also is relevant in terms of, like, okay, Milwaukee Bucks, like, you've got Giannis and then Chris Middleton and Drew Holiday, they've both been all-stars and have been in that conversation, like, several years, but they're not.
That's getting, like, a little ticky-tacky, like, you
exactly.
could call that a big 3, but, I mean.
But it's not.
Like,
it's
splitting
not.
hairs, yeah.
You know what I'll say? I'll say I feel like a big three, like a legitimate big three, is like you can't put a definition on it, but you know it when you see it. That's what I'll just say.
I think you actually hit. I think you just hit it on the head, Korzemba, when you said a transcendent talent with 2 All-Stars. Because I remember the reason why the Golden State Warriors pissed me off so much is you had Steph Curry, who was a transcendent talent, Klay Thompson, who was a really good All-Star that is like on the line of transcendent talent, and then you had Kevin Durant, who is probably like the biggest matchup nightmare in NBA history.
Yeah.
So like I think that definition, when a transcendent talent is teaming up with 2 All-Stars, that's a super team. But
prime Golden State Warriors, like they have like people legitimately rank them like without blinking as a top 3 team ever.
So
well, yeah, I mean,
like you got Kevin Durant, Steph, Clay, and Draymond. Like that is insane. They kind of go beyond a super team. I don't even know what you call them, but like they're nuts.
They changed the game of basketball. Yeah, I agree with you. Speaking of super teams, I wanted to talk to you guys about the father of at least the first big 3 that I saw when I was watching basketball, because I know big 3s existed prior to this, but Danny Ainge stepped down as president of basketball operations, and we saw something that I don't think I've ever seen before. Correct me if I'm wrong, but have we ever seen a head coach say, hey, I'm done being the head coach of this team, I want to be in the front office role instead? Because that's what Brad Stevens is doing.
Well, Doc, right? Like, but he did
no,
both.
Not instead. He did both. I'm not saying both. Yeah. Stan Van Gundy
I think
did both.
Larry Bird did the opposite.
Yeah. There's somebody that stepped into the front office that I
Larry
can't
Bird
think of
went
right
front
now.
office to head coach. It actually is a crazy story. I like recently read, like Larry Bird. Remember in The Last Dance when Michael Jordan walks up to Larry Bird and he's like, "Fuck you, you bitch." Like it's like 1998. Larry Bird's well retired. The reason like he said that was, one, Michael Jordan had never like actually beat Larry Bird in anything like playoff wise. Be it what you want, you know, his prime ended a little early. Mike maybe never got a chance. Like he ended up having to play the Pistons instead of probably some Celtics teams. So we missed out on some cool matchups there. But regardless, Larry, what's crazy, this crazy story. He was in the front office. He had never coached before in the Indiana Pacers in his life. And he was like, I'm going to coach for 3 seasons, three seasons only. And he brought them in the 3 seasons to an Eastern Conference Finals and an NBA Finals. He brought the Pacers to, and he just dipped out. He was done.
So what about Pat Riley?
No comment on my story.
No, I was thinking because then he did go to the front office role. He went to the Pacers front office, and I think he's still there today.
Yeah, he came from the front office too.
Well, I don't know if Pat Riley was the GM.
He was the head coach, and then he became.
Pat Riley went head coach. Yeah, he did that. Okay, yeah. So Pat Riley, you're right. Who shouted out Pat Riley's name? Coop?
Yo, yeah.
It was you? Okay. Yeah, Pat Riley did win a championship with the Heat in 2006. And then, yes.
Yep,
then he
never forget it. You know who was coaching the team to start the season?
SVG.
Stan Van fucking Gundy.
That was the dirtiest thing I think I've ever seen happen to a head coach.
Bro,
ever.
They were like 10-11, bro. That was a championship team, and they were so I'm not gonna say bad, mediocre under Van Gundy. And
how do these guys keep getting these chances?
No, that's what I said. That's what I said. I got torn apart by it on Twitter by Pelicans beat writers.
The screen today.
Walked who off the screen?
I think Stephen A. Smith walked off the screen today from anger if I saw correctly. I was kind of watching on the corner of my eye, but I think he is just so angry at the lack of opportunities that like black men are getting in head coaching roles or in front office roles. And he's like saying, why are you hiring the same guy over and over again? Like Jason Kidd emerges as the #1 head coach for the Boston Celtics. It's like, what? Why?
All right, to be fair, Jason Kidd's black, but
yeah, but okay.
That.
Those are two separate discussions.
Two separate thoughts. Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
They accidentally combine. But yes,
Okay.
I'm just saying.
Okay.
I think the conversation. I hope I'm not getting this wrong. The conversation with Stephen A. escalated to a point where he just literally walked off the screen, and I've never seen him walk off the screen. Walked off the screen. That was out of anger of lack of black men in front office roles, which I agree with on that. But also I agree with why do you keep giving the same coaches the same opportunities when they're proving that they're.
I actually have some perspective on that too. I'm sorry to cut you off, Mike, but I got in an argument with the Pelicans beat writer over the hiring of Stan Van Gundy. They didn't like me saying like, hey, like new guys should get, or more guys should get opportunities, and it shouldn't be the same old people. They got kind of mad at that, kind of defended Stan Van Gundy, but I understand why they defend the coaches because, you know, they get special perks and media passes and all that crap from them, so whatever. But they basically came at me and they said, well, a lot of these GMs, they get maybe 1 or 2 opportunities to fail or to be successful. So if you hire a new guy and that new guy fizzles out, well, it's like, oh wow, this was miserable. Whereas if you hire some of these older guys, yeah, you know what you're getting, and like there's some upside. I'm basically paraphrasing, but it's like hiring like a new candidate that's completely unfamiliar with the landscape to going back to like what's comfortable and what we've seen before. And so I don't like the thought process, but you know.
Well, you're saying like maybe lower risk reward.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
We see that actually. I mean, it's something that doesn't get talked about a ton, but I mean, there are definitely front office executives that they make moves to keep their jobs. Like, not every move is made in order to like completely win a championship. You make the playoffs this season, like your job is a lot more secure than if you don't. And same thing so with like coaching, you know, playing a veteran maybe compared to, you know, playing a younger guy who has a lot more potential. Like, there's a reason why a lot of rookies who, when you're a fan base, like for instance, I mean, it ended up working out for the Knicks this year, but everyone's going quickly. Why is he not playing more? Get him on the court. And Tibbs is like, bro, I've been fired twice now, you know? I'm putting who I think is the best lineup out there, and I'm doing it. Like, Quickly's development will come. He is the most extreme example of that because he never plays rookies.
Here's the thing. Stephen A. Smith, one of my favorite, like one of my influences to get into this field. I have tremendous respect for what he's trying to do here, but I'm sorry, I don't agree with him. He did the same thing when Steve Nash got hired by the Brooklyn Nets. He turned it into a racial issue. And the reason I disagree with him here, he did do that. And at the time, I thought Steve Nash was the perfect hire for the Brooklyn Nets because you need a guy that, one, has a modern NBA, like, offense. Coop, I know you're going to say something, but let me finish my point. Knows the modern NBA, was an assistant with the Golden State Warriors, played in an up-tempo offense, and has the respect of Kevin Durant. But that aside, if you paid attention at the exact same time that Stephen A. Smith stormed off set, I don't know which came first. I don't know if this was a knee-jerk reaction to what Stephen A. Smith said, but the only report I read about Jason Kidd also had Lloyd Pierce's name in it, who is a head coach that went 60 and like 120.
I'm correcting myself on that. They started off by talking about like why are these guys kind of getting the same chances, but then they progressed to front offices and how it's even worse in front offices.
I thought he was talking about head coaches. I didn't watch Stephen A. storm off set. I can't comment on on front offices because I would agree with him. Masai Ujiri is probably one of the best general managers in the league.
So Mike, you thought Steve Nash. We could go on record. Let's quote this, Tom. I want a good soundbite of this when the Brooklyn Nets season is over. You thought Steve Nash was the perfect coaching candidate for 3 experienced all-star level players. Well, obviously they didn't have Harden at the time. Yeah, so they didn't have Harden at the time.
Look,
but you thought Steve Nash was the perfect guy for Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant?
In the sense that if you look at the head coaching staff, like I've gone on record to say this, the Brooklyn Nets coaching staff is a freaking all-star team. Like, I don't know if you see, let me like pull it up in its entirety.
It's a solid staff for sure. You know, they got D'Antoni, they got a bunch of other names. Like it's a solid staff, but to have Steve Nash leading that staff,
like they have, They have Steve
And
Nash.
I like Steve Nash. I love Steve Nash. That was one of my favorite players back in the day.
I think it's like a good, I don't think it's just Steve Nash. You have Steve Nash, you have Mike D'Antoni, then you have Jacques Vaughn, you have Ime Udoka, you have Amari Stoudemire. You pretty much have a situation where, like, if Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving, and bear in mind, they will and they have done this, if they want to do something that like riles up fans or riles up the media, or, you know, just in general could be like a distraction to the team, this is the coaching staff that could hold them under control.
I don't think so. D'Antoni holds somebody under control.
No, not D'Antoni. Not
Steve
D'Antoni.
Nash?
You're right about that.
Here's my one. Be careful with the words "hold someone under control."
Not holds, but like, you know.
I know what he means. He means like, control
like
the
Phil
situation.
Jackson, like Phil Jackson and Dennis Rodman.
Like rein in the team, you know, like
rein in the team, like, yeah. So just so we can replace that audio,
bro. D'Antoni lost the locker room in Houston.
I mean, yeah, but he's an assistant. You have Amari, you have Steve Nash, you have Jacques Vaughn. I think Lionel Hollins is there too. I mean, look,
Amari was playing basketball like 2 years ago, bro.
Players tend to respect former players. Especially,
Amari, to be fair, I don't think Amari's in like too crazy of a role. I think he's literally
that's probably that's probably true. But I mean, you got D'Antoni. If I'm the Nets, I'm hiring a defensive coach. That's just my opinion.
I gotta read this headline. Too. There's a literally New York Times headline that goes, Amari Stoudemire is a coach now, but don't call him that. It's like, all right. Like, okay.
Yeah. Maybe it's like player development or something. But
honestly,
yeah, I like Amari on the staff, though. I like Amari, man. I've always messed with Amari, too.
I was kind of surprised because I never heard like Amari was even interested in coaching when he got hired.
I actually liked Kenny Atkinson, too. I can't believe he's not coaching right now. That's actually a little crazy.
Everything we said, what do we think about the fact that Brad Stevens just has said that since the bubble, he's felt worn and tired out, and he's giving up coaching? Now, this was a guy who at one point in time was the guy. Like, it was like Brad Stevens was the hot young coach, 100%. Like, people were, you know, there was a poll I actually pulled up on my Twitter. Like, okay, so there's a poll. Yes, Chris Mannix in 2018, May of 2018, said, "You are the GM of an expansion team. You have your choice of any NBA player or Brad Stevens. Who do you choose?" So you're an expansion team. You're starting your team around one person. And 34% of people said Brad Stevens. Like, that is insane. That is crazy.
They were perceived as the modern day Spurs at the time.
I'm probably in the minority here, but I understand where Brad Stevens is coming from. I mean, as a coach, people don't really talk about it, but it seems like an incredibly stressful job, especially in today's NBA that's pretty much run by the players.
I feel I'm just saying he never won anything. What did he win?
No, but we're talking about like kind of two different things.
That's what I'm kind of just saying, like, I think it's crazy that at one point 34% of people, and that was a poll with over 20,000 people voted, so 34%, that's like 7,500 around.
Yeah, that's one of those hindsight's 2020 things.
That's like that amount of people were like, yes, we would take Brad Stevens because they believed in his system that much that you could build a system around Brad Stevens. And now 3 years later, we're at a point where he is not a coach anymore.
It's not fair to say that he's not like a great coach, though. He just lost a team. It happens to a lot of coaches. He could go somewhere else and probably coach if he still had that passion and find great success, which brings me back to being a coach in today's game is incredibly tough. You got to keep so many people happy. If like your star players don't like you, then you're just kind of screwed in a sense, you know? So
I don't know. I'll blame him more than you're blaming him. He literally lost Gordon Hayward. Like, the guy that he was attached to the hip to, they were like, Gordon Hayward's coming because Brad Stevens.
Well, yeah, but he had to keep so many guys happy. He had to keep Kyrie happy.
So does everyone.
What do you mean, who's everyone?
No, I didn't say who's everyone. I said so does everyone. Every team that's a championship team has
Kyrie. He had Terry Rozier. He had to keep Hayward happy.
Tough situation that he unobjectively failed in. He didn't keep Kyrie. He did not keep Kyrie happy. He did not keep Gordon happy.
It was a tough situation. What I'm saying is it wasn't easy.
We're not talking about a normal coach here. We are literally talking about a coach who was compared to Greg Popovich like no other. Like it was like, okay, Greg Popovich stepping down, like it's like the torch is being handed off to Brad Stevens as the next great coach. You have to admit that it is insane that this man is not even coaching anymore.
On his own, like he doesn't want to coach. He's not coaching because he's not a good coach. He could find another job.
I'm definitely not saying he's not a good coach, but I'm just saying my whole thing is it is crazy that he's not coaching anymore, that this is what happened to the Celtics.
Well,
it's also crazy that
you can't predict the
Brooklyn
burnout.
Nets. I mean, it's also crazy that here we sit right now. The Brooklyn Nets just took down the Boston Celtics, the team that took all their picks. How did this happen?
Hold on.
Players wanted to play together. They got off their assets. The Nets weren't scared to make a move. They didn't have Danny Ainge running the team.
I'll take that. The Nets were not scared to make a move. The freaking Celtics were scared to make a move. And
I mean,
I feel
don't think it's scared to say that. I mean, I don't think it's fair to say that because when you evaluate Danny Ainge's tenure as a Boston Celtics general manager, he did make moves.
He made mediocre moves.
I don't think he made mediocre moves. I think we're calling them mediocre.
Yeah, he played it safe the whole time. They still have all their picks from like the future, like, you know.
They traded one of them for Kyrie Irving. That didn't pan out. They signed Gordon Hayward.
Well, Isaiah Thomas was a main part of that trade.
I mean, anybody signing Gordon Hayward. Gordon Hayward was like a max play. He's still I think he got the max with Charlotte, but
he was fresh,
yeah, anybody.
Team.
That's an easy decision. Like,
I do. Well, here's the thing. There are moves that Danny Ainge made, and I agree with you. There are times that he should have made trades that he didn't, but at the same time, like, he did a fantastic job in manipulating specific situations, like the 2017 NBA draft, trading back and drafting Jason Tatum, drafting Jaylen Brown the year prior, trading Isaiah Thomas when he said, okay, this is the peak of his value. Let me get Kyrie Irving in return. He signed Gordon Hayward. He built a great team. But Gordon Hayward broke his leg. Kyrie Irving is Kyrie Irving. I'm assuming that he saw that Danny Ainge isn't a loyal individual and he traded Isaiah Thomas.
You can't just be like, he got Kyrie for Isaiah Thomas. Isaiah Thomas had trade value. He had enough trade value to get Kyrie. So they could have traded for someone else.
Yeah.
I mean,
and if you look at like their draft
picks,
they
traded for Kyrie. They chose him. Like, and
outside of the top five, they're horrific. They're horrific. They sat on a lot of mediocre picks.
Like, they got some guys, but yeah, they've got misses. They've got James Young, just one random name off the top of my head. But
at the end of the day, like, I think Danny Ainge should be remembered in Boston Celtics lore as a general manager that pulled the Celtics out of the doldrums of mediocrity by that big three trade. And also swung a great trade to get him out. What do you mean? By Ray Allen and Kevin Garnett? Yeah, he pulled them
doldrums of mediocrity? I'm pulling up the franchise index
please,
right now.
Please.
The doldrums of mediocrity.
They were irrelevant for almost 2 decades. What are you talking about? They were so irrelevant.
They made the Eastern Conference Finals in 2002, Eastern Conference semis, and then back-to-back first rounds. Okay, they were terrible the year before. I'll give you that. But I think you're overstating.
He came in 2003.
Okay. I mean, they had Paul
and
Pierce
pulled them out. Didn't that deal happen because like the Timberwolves were trying to do a favor for Danny Ainge or some crap like that?
I'm kind of going too far, actually, on the side of negative Danny Ainge, because I do agree
by all means, because I'm too.
Like, I do agree he did a good job, like, in certain things.
Oh, yeah, with the big
here's
three,
what I'll
of course.
say. I'll say it's the same thing with Brad Stevens. Okay, I'm like holding them both to a higher standard at this point, which people could say is fair or is not fair, whatever. I think you can hold certain people to a higher standard. Like, we watch LeBron James play basketball. If he like doesn't perform at an elite level, he gets some hate. Like, he gets a ton of hate probably because he's LeBron James. Okay.
Okay. So in your eyes, where did Stevens
Brad
fail?
Stevens was literally
what year? I mean, it felt like they overachieved a lot to me. But what year
Brad
did
Stevens,
you feel like
that's tough. That's more of like I said, like, again, like, I'm just more shocked that he's done coaching. Like, I wouldn't say he got the tools that like necessary, and maybe it's just Gordon Hayward breaking his leg, and maybe it's as simple as that. Maybe they could have made the finals there, and like, this is just a different conversation. Brad Stevens, I wouldn't say fully failed, and he was with the team for so long, Coop, that like I agree with you. At some point, it's very hard to keep a locker room for that long. But as for Danny Ainge, I think he should be held to a higher standard because of how much he himself hyped up the amount of picks that they had.
Yeah.
Like that's all we heard about for literally like 5 years. Like maybe it's but for 3 years. It's all we heard.
Going back to what you were saying. 2017 and 2018, they made it to the conference finals. So
yeah, but they never won a championship with what
because
they
LeBron
had.
James was in their conference. And also, if a few things went their way, we might be having a completely different conversation. If Gordon Hayward didn't break his leg, if Kyrie Irving didn't dislike the way the Boston Celtics ran their operation, we might be having a different conversation. But at the same time, if we're going to sit here and play what if and say, hey, Danny Ainge should have traded for Jimmy Butler. Well, what if Jimmy Butler went to Boston and treated Boston like Minnesota or treated Boston like Philadelphia and left anyways? Who else was available? Paul George in free agency? Yeah, maybe. Well,
my thing is that we have the same problem that the Trailblazers had. Never really got off of any future. I can't even believe I'm saying that this is a problem and I'm advocating trading future picks, but it's kind of the NBA that we're in today. Danny Ainge didn't have to trade future picks. He could have just traded more lottery picks and built better rosters, got more talent. He just didn't. If you look at a lot of these past draft picks that he's had and just some of these picks that he's held on to, it's just things that he didn't have to do. I'm not saying he did a terrible job because you're right, Mike. At the end of the day, he did put together some solid rosters. They could have been better. And of course, I appreciate, the whole Big Three era and all that. But
yeah, they had a good era then. They didn't quite pull it out. Also, I mean, we're playing devil's advocate here. We're playing what if. And at the end of the day, Danny Ainge tried to trade for Justice Winslow and tried to give several of his picks away, including, if I'm not mistaken, the pick for Jaylen Brown. So Danny Ainge literally got saved not by anyone else other than Michael Jordan. Like Michael Jordan said no to that trade because Michael Jordan wanted to draft Frank Kaminsky. Okay, so if by any other logic, someone else is taking that trade. Danny Ainge got saved there. History saved Danny Ainge from himself there. He'll be remembered, of course, as a great general manager, a great president of basketball operations. He'll be remembered as, a great front office guy for sure. I mean, he won them a championship with assembling a team, and they've been consistently good. But I will say, you can't just, at the end of the day, championship above all else when you have that amount of picks, that amount of talent on the roster. You've got guys like Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. Feels like he's leaving the cupboard a little bare now. Where do they go from here?
Well, I think if you remember, I think we recorded a pod a month ago, and I said, I think this is the point where Danny Ainge has to consider stepping down because I think he did everything he could. His reputation is kind of soiled now as this guy that will screw you over if he can marginally make the team better. So I think this is the best move that they can make. They still want to remain. Apparently, they've been discussing.
I wish you had brought that up earlier because that's
plan.
actually a great point.
Yeah. Originally, they were planning the succession plan for months now, and it seems like the best way they could maintain a tie to Brad Stevens, who they perceive, and we all perceive, to be a basketball genius, is to at least elevate him to the front office position, and maybe he'll be better than Danny Ainge. But at the very least, at least Brad Stevens has a clean slate, might be able to connect to some players. We have to see. Maybe they'll be able to attract some free agents now. We'll have to see.
I would imagine that if they're bringing him up to the front office, that he has good relationships with the guys on the team.
That's also, like you said, that's good. The Celtics have a clean slate to work with because Danny Ainge has
no one wanted to trade with him.
Yeah, a lot of
he had this reputation. I remember there's this article that came out about everyone's scared that Danny Ainge will screw you over.
Yep.
Contrary to popular belief, I still like what the Celtics have set up going forward. Two potential superstars under the age of 26. Tough to be mad at that. A couple of key role players. Some they're going to have to retain. But, I like the setup of their roster going forward for Brad Stevens.
Would you trade Jaylen Brown? Because in my opinion, I feel like if you can get the right offer, don't jump the gun here. Don't do anything crazy. But I feel like, if you look at a situation like CJ and Dame, you had a little bit of the same thing going on. I can't think of the word. But redundancy.
I think it's a little. I think it's different. I think it's different. I think it's way
I
different.
think we're watching Jason Tatum without Jaylen Brown, and he just became unleashed. Like suddenly he's dropping 50 bombs. Like,
but you don't want to have to see him consistently do that. That's not. Do
you not? Like he could elevate.
You want to make his life easier. You don't want him to drop 50.
Well, no, that's why I'm saying nothing rash. I'm not saying like take a trade like that's not a good, but like if you could get comparable.
Who do you want to get? I think Jaylen Brown can be a superstar. Like I'm just really high on Jaylen Brown. And I don't think this is like the Dame and CJ thing where like CJ is undersized and a poor defender and it conflicts a ton. I think this is more like Kawhi and PG in a sense. I've always viewed the Celtics kind of like the Clippers East.
We'll see if that works out.
Yeah, definitely we'll see if that works out. But I would love to see the Celtics get a playmaker. But man, I love Jaylen Brown. I can't believe you want to trade him. I get the ideology. I'm
just talking about like they have like other holes in their roster that great big man.
They definitely do.
If you could get someone, I'm not saying trade Jaylen Brown. I want to make this very clear. I'm not saying that because the thing is, in all likelihood, they're not going to get like an equal offer. But if they were to get an equal offer where you could fill a need, maybe at a big man that's just as comparable of an impact, then yeah, I'd be looking for it. If I was the Celtics, all I'm saying is I would be looking out. I wouldn't be actively reaching out to teams because then Jaylen Brown hears that and suddenly he's pissed and everything's. But I'd be looking out for it because I just think I don't know. Jason Tatum was so exciting by himself on the wing, and yeah, Jaylen Brown and him have done their thing together, but there is some redundancy in having two wing scorers. Jaylen Brown is a great defender, good defender. He gives you that, but if you can maybe even your roster out, maybe make it a little more balanced. Like right now, their bigs are just they're not good.
Jason Tatum is exciting currently without Jaylen Brown, the same way as Damian Lillard's exciting. He's going off for 50, but he's losing. So at the end of the day,
his team is missing a piece, though. So that's the difference to me. Damian Lillard has his team. Like Jaylen Brown is either going to be on the team and they'll be better, or you can make a move with him, and maybe you have just a much improved roster that is more like balanced and works.
I think that's a better. I like that better for Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson.
So you don't think they fit together?
Yeah, I don't think they're the best fit right now under Van Gundy. Yeah. I think Brandon Ingram wants his own team too.
Youth a little bit more.
I think Brandon Ingram wants his own team too. Point Zion has yielded the best results for the Pelicans, in my opinion. Transcendent talent. You want the ball in his hands at pretty much all times. I would just be Brandon Ingram's like one of the worst defenders in the league. I just completely hijacked this convo. All right, back to
you're good.
Brown.
It made sense. No, I agree because it's
okay
that we were just talking about redundancy in two positions where it's like, it's tough if you go on 2K and you just click, go to the trade finder, you click start on Jaylen Brown's name, you get 30 trade offers from 30 different teams, and you go, oh, okay, this guy is a power forward that fits perfectly, and everything works out perfectly well. But it's not as easy as that.
Who do you think would be the ideal big to pair with Tatum if you were able to get fair value for Brown?
See, now that is very tough. And the other team is going to need a wing as well, which is also tough.
I'd say if the Celtics, oh my God, this is going to suck. But
Say it.
If the Celtics pulled off that trade for Miles Turner, oh my God, we'd be having a completely different conversation right now. You have a defensive.
I still don't understand.
Center.
I still don't get it.
Like Danny Ainge will probably still be in the front office. Like, bro, what are you doing? I don't.
You want?
Like, I've Googled that extensively because it seems so unbelievable that would ever even happen. Like I think the conclusion that I came to after Googling was that it was like reported that the Celtics viewed Miles Turner as a negative asset.
Are you? That's insane.
That's the only reason.
If you ask me, the Celtics need Steven Adams.
Yeah. You could have Brown.
So
I'm not. I don't. No. You know what? Keep Brown. Just take Adams.
So if you guys,
the Celtics need Lowry Markkanen. They need some wing shooting. We need Jaylen Brown.
That might not be the worst fit, honestly.
All right, I'll be right back, guys. Give me 1 sec.
My boy Lowry's gonna go somewhere.
No, you could play Lowry at center. I mean, have you seen?
No, you can't. I'm telling you, in your imaginary world.
But you're not listening. You're not listening.
I'm listening. I am listening. You're not listening. You didn't watch any Bulls games.
You don't watch any Pelicans games.
I don't care what you're saying. Doesn't matter.
I don't care what you're saying.
You said no because you said no. I'm just saying I don't care what you're saying because you said that Lowry could play center. Lowry, it cannot play center.
But no, you're not listening. You're like, I think your headphones dying. I don't know what the fuck's going on. But look, the Pelicans, Steven Adams is such a negative asset. It can't get any worse. It can't get any fucking worse.
If that's your argument, then fine.
That's literally my argument. That's literally my argument.
If that's your argument, then it's an understandable argument.
Bro, have you seen how, man, look. Actually, I think part of the problem is Lonzo Ball, too, to be fair, which is also why I don't understand why people are so high on him. He gets caught up on one screen every time. Adams sucks at defending. He's got stone feet. But, let's
not talk about defense and Lowry Markkanen.
No, but I'm just saying, like, Lonzo, man, I think he's part of the problem, too, for the Pelicans' defense. You set one screen on him, he shows no willingness to get over it. That's actually an underrated skill for guards. Like, are they able to effectively get through screens? I mean, it's like a screen and roll league now, right?
End of the day, I think Lowry Markkanen fits somewhere. I don't think the Pelicans are.
I leave for 1 second.
I'm also
you guys
afraid
are talking about the Pelicans and the freaking Chicago Bulls. You guys are such homers. Let's talk about people that are in the playoffs at the very least.
Oh yeah,
we were talking to ourselves,
right? Seriously.
Yeah. I left to go get a piece of at least something that'll make me feel a little bit better before.
So you didn't even have a pressing matter. You just left for show.
Quick question: where do you rank LeBron in terms of best player in the league right now? We talking top 5, top 10, still top 1?
Okay, so no, I need to get something off my chest. So there's this like complete misconception about me as like some sort of like crazy diehard LeBron ride or die. So let me get something straight. I was rooting against LeBron James when he was going up against the Warriors. I was rooting against LeBron James when he was on the Miami Heat. I'm a Laker fan. So since he's on the Lakers, I'm rooting for him. And to be honest, in terms of, I want to give him benefit of the doubt. The man has gone through a lot. He's had injuries this year. He's dealt with an ankle injury. His longevity is remarkable. I don't know what the hell I'm watching when I'm watching these games. Like, it's almost as if he's ghost walking through the playoffs. Maybe it's because he was literally in a playoff series, I don't know, 8 months ago. I don't know what it is. But when I
mean, he had a lot of time
games,
off, even though he was hurt.
Yeah. It's like, here's the thing. If you're the greatest of all time, and I'm not judging LeBron's legacy on one game or one series, even if he leaves the first round, I still think he's one of the greatest of all time. But if you are the greatest of all time, like when I watch Tom Brady play football and they're down 28-3 at the half, I stood up, I sat down, I'm like, there's no freaking way that Tom Brady loses the Super Bowl 28-3 and gets blown out by the Atlanta Falcons. I said that to myself. Like, I didn't think he'd come all the way back, but I thought he'd at least make it a game. So if LeBron James is the greatest of all time, I don't think it is a crazy ask or a crazy thing to believe that, hey, this is the greatest basketball player of all time. Don't you think he'd be able to come back down 3-2 or at least go up 3-2 when his sidekick is out, despite Dennis Schroeder being an upgrade over Rajon Rondo, despite Wesley Matthews being an upgrade over Danny Green, despite Marc Gasol being an upgrade over Dwight Howard, and getting the defending sixth man of the year? Is it a crazy thing to say, hey, if LeBron James is the greatest of all time, shouldn't he be able to win at least one game without AD against the Phoenix Suns? Hell, win a half at Staples Center without AD, despite being up. I was there live, bro. So, I'm not.
You know what, NBA? This is what happens when you give a fucking Lakers fan LeBron James.
Yeah.
All right? He wins you a championship, and then this is what happens. You get this rant. You get this rant.
You're being too honest. You're being too honest. It hurts. Like,
that is what happens when you give a Lakers fan. Are you kidding me?
Bro, if the Pelicans were the 7th seed right now,
I don't even know what to say.
I'm running laps around my block.
Rant. I don't even know what to say.
Did you watch the game last night? Did you watch them?
Did I watch the game, bro? Literally look at the Lakers stats, dude. You just mentioned Montrezl Harrell. He's played 3 games this series. Like, no one is showing up. It is not LeBron. I mean, if you, the only argument you could possibly make is that LeBron hasn't controlled the locker room maybe as much as in the past, but again, he's been hurt. And
I'll say he's been a poor leader. I think he's been a poor leader this
that's
series.
what I'll say. But, like, dude, look at these shooting numbers. Let's just pull them up right here. Dennis Schroeder shooting 39% from the field. Okay, that's somehow among the best. You've got KCP shooting 22%. Alex Caruso shooting 37%. Kyle Kuzma shooting 31%. You have freaking Andre Drummond. They bank on Andre Drummond. Everyone talks Andre Drummond. He plays 21 minutes a game because he can't play defense because he misses layups wide open at the rim. And Anthony Davis is out. He was hurt for part of a game. I mean, I think that the Suns were still going to win that game. And then he missed an entire game. So, like, I don't think I think you're overhyping this roster.
Wesley Matthews and Marc Gasol aren't upgrades.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think this roster's getting overhyped. And also, I mean, I'm not gonna. If this is LeBron's time to go, if this is his, like, okay, finally, LeBron has taken a step back. Like, all right, the man just won a championship 1 year ago at 35 and was still the best player in basketball, which is remarkable. So, I can't believe you just buried LeBron.
I'm not going to lie, though. I don't like his body language.
You buried LeBron. You literally just yelled at the top of your lungs, "Can you win me one half?"
Yeah. Can you win me one half?
He won you a championship last year.
First of all, look, I'm saying
he's about to call it a Mickey Mouse.
Yeah, you're gonna call yourself?
No, I was about to say Mike. I was about to say Mike.
No,
look,
liar.
You no. Oh God.
Look. I'm saying that if you're the greatest of all time, I don't think it's a big ask to win a half of basketball. They've
won 2 games. What are you talking about?
Without Anthony Davis, win a half.
It's game 6. We'll see.
Overreaction. Overreaction.
All right, look, I see both sides. He's a Bulls
fan. There are overreactions, and then there's whatever.
Dude, you watch your team get pummeled on national television by 30, and I'm sure you'll be acting 100 times worse than I am.
He watches it every time they play, Mike.
I'm sure he'll prove me wrong, but it
feels like you're talking to yourself right now.
I have to
You guys are done. I was just
honestly,
you guys are done.
As someone who in 2017 tweeted out that my favorite Western Conference team was the Phoenix Suns, and then backed that up on New Year's this year, you guys are done.
Yeah, done. Forking you.
Let's go Suns, baby. Yo, you know what? I actually went to a Phoenix Suns game. Let's add on top of it.
I actually met Chris Paul. He was really nice.
Yo, I actually am Devin Booker.
Do you guys see what I go through here? No, I'm not talking to Lacey. Do you guys, like, podcast? Do you see what I have to deal with here every single week? The abuse.
Abuse? You just yelled at. Oh my God! I wish LeBron could.
Dude, you complain about Lauri Markkanen every week.
You called Wesley Matthews an upgrade
over Danny Green. Yeah, he's getting.
Dude, how is Montrezl Harrell's abilities as a basketball player on LeBron?
I'm saying that he has a pretty freaking good supporting cast. Of course, KCP's out. Of course, AD is out.
How's everyone missing every wide open 3 on LeBron, though? Like, listen, I will agree with, like, LeBron isn't go out and get you 50 points my team sucks. I'm just gonna score every point, no matter what. But
I think here's the thing.
They're just daring everyone to shoot, and everyone is building houses.
It's a combo. I'll tell you, as someone like that is a little bit more calm emotionally now. Based off of what I saw, it was a combination of a remarkable game plan around LeBron James, where they had him in some sort of very interesting zone. And then they would go back to like playing regular defense whenever LeBron James would give up the ball. And they would close out on the shooters, and the shooters would miss. And you combine that with a Phoenix Suns team that literally turned the ball over 4 times the entire game. And you get a pummeling by 30 points. So, I mean, we have LeBron James on our team. I still think he's the best player in the NBA. Yeah, I could be hard on him from time to time. Hopefully he's able to pull something out. It's just there's a lot of hopelessness when you see your team pretty much give up. And that's what I was watching. Like
me and Coop have watched that season after season. I don't think you understand this. Like I think what you're not getting.
Well, we're contending
is that you literally
right
won
now.
A championship last year.
Oh, so what am I supposed to do? We won a championship. Oh,
remain a little hopeful. It's only 3-2.
Yeah, it's 3-2. We're 1 game away, and they have another home game. You know, like they have one more home game over us.
I mean, like I don't know what to say.
And then AD I don't know. Hopefully I wake up tomorrow and Anthony Davis comes back, and I don't know. Like, if you think my reaction
if it was me, I know for a fact I wouldn't be sitting on this podcast not having faith in my boys. But, you know, that's just me.
Dude, if you watched, like, I will show you clips. There are clips of the Suns out in transition. LeBron James just sitting there and crossing his arms like this. Like, it's a playoff. You would feel the same way. You like, so long as they play hard and they do their best, that's one thing. But they weren't. And yeah, they were missing their shots. Hopefully that doesn't happen again. But if it does, we're out.
Hey man,
I mean,
Korzemba, you probably forgot. A lot of Lakers fans did not initially want LeBron James. Like they wanted him gone when things weren't clicking right off the bat. Remember the first season he was there? It took a while for them to get going, and then there was that animosity with Ingram and Kuzma and all that. Like I kind of forgot about that, but man, it seems like right now they couldn't wait to turn on Bron. Like he's about to be 37, bro. Like come on, man.
Honestly, and Mike, you're already saying this, and like you know, Lakers fans. I don't want to generalize you. I don't want to say all of you are like this. However, I know there are a bunch of you that are like this.
Yeah. And I don't want to generalize either. So
like
I'm this.
and there are Lakers fans that get very annoyed at people like this. And I'm not saying Mike's fully a person like this. He's just mad. His team's could be playoff bounced right now. I get the anger, but it's LeBron James, and he just literally brought you a championship 1 year ago. He's been through, this has not been his season, really. It's been through injuries. Anthony Davis has been through injuries. It's unfortunate. Anthony Davis has recently been, more injury prone than he, fully was throughout the entirety of his career. Was he this injury prone, Coop? In the beginning,
a lot of small injuries, a lot of stuff that wouldn't really keep him out. Yeah. It was.
I know he just flops. That's annoying.
It's weird because there was this time last season after they won the championship where they were pretty much bragging about AD playing through a bunch of injuries with the Lakers, saying this is championship stuff. You weren't doing this in New Orleans, and I thought that whole thing was dumb.
What do you guys think about Andre Drummond at this point? And the Lakers saying that he's part of their future, because I would just like to laugh at Andre Drummond. Andre Drummond, I feel like it's just hurting him on the court. His culture, the culture fit, everything. How giving Andre Drummond minutes, I just think hurts. I just think he's on a longer leash than a normal player would be. He just gets he gets his 21 minutes, whatever. Last year,
who else are they gonna play? Who else are they gonna play?
Play guards around right now, no one
play
really
guards against Ayton. Yeah, that's not happening.
No, I'm saying right now, no one, because AD's out. But without AD, I'm saying they still were playing Andre Drummond and combining AD. And they went down the stretch of, what was it, game 3? they went down the stretch, they benched Drummond, they put AD at center, and they freaking won. It's as simple as that. That's their best lineup, is Anthony Davis at the center spot. So it's kind of hard when you have a guy like Andre Drummond, because Andre Drummond is a former All-Star. He has an ego, an understandable ego. Like, you know, the man expects to go out there and play 30 minutes a game and contribute to his team. He's been a top option on NBA teams. So that was my whole point when they originally signed him, is that like, that is why it can be a negative asset, because you get a guy that you can't just easily bench. And like, you see reports, Lakers are like including him in their future. Like, this isn't Dwight Howard. This isn't like you just don't play him for 2 games and you're just like, okay, like, you know, we signed you for a vet min, like whatever. Like, this is like, they kind of have made so many public statements. I feel like they've just dug themselves in a corner with Andre Drummond right now.
I think at the end of the day, like, all roads go back to LeBron James. If LeBron James wants Andre Drummond, we give LeBron James Andre Drummond. And it's as simple as that. Like, this is a guy that came in like completely, like, you made a good point. This is a guy that brought us our first championship in a decade. So if he enjoys sharing the court with him and he thinks he could win with them, then yeah. And who's to say that Andre Drummond wants to sign for the max? He might take a pay cut just to have a meaningful role on a championship team. We don't know how much he'd want to sign with the Lakers for.
Well, Andre Drummond himself said that, so that's where I was getting those words from.
Kyrie Irving said that he's going to re-sign with the Boston Celtics and then changed his mind. You know, like, things change. So
there's a big difference there in terms of like signing for how much are you going to sign Drummond for? Because he was asking for like $30 million a year.
I don't know.
I don't think he's getting that from any team though, so I don't think it's.
I don't think the Lakers are playing Drummond because they feel obligated. I feel like they actually view him as like part of the future. So, and I obviously think he's a big LeBron fan too. So.
I just don't think it was a great fit. I never thought it was a great fit. And when he's out,
better than what they had. So
yeah, like, here's the thing: you perceive this as a situation where the Lakers, you know, say, "Hey, we're an Andre Drummond away from contending." He's just a replacement for Dwight Howard and JaVale McGee. We don't have a traditional center aside from Andre Drummond. Montrezl Harrell's a defensive liability. He's 6'8".
Have Gasol, but okay.
You are not citing Marc Gasol as a viable option right now. You're not doing
I'm
that.
Literally like, I just...
In spot minutes, sure. No, not you, TheFlightMike, Korzemba.
All right. I mean, I don't know what to say because I'm looking at the on-off court stats for the Lakers.
You can't play Gasol 30 minutes per game, man. He's going to give you good spot minutes and that's it.
I agree, you're right, but I don't know. I've just never liked the signing, and I think it enabled Anthony Davis. I mean, we're not seeing it now because Anthony Davis is hurt, but it enabled him to continue to play the power forward spot in a situation where I don't think he should be playing the power forward spot. I think he should be playing almost all of his minutes at the center position right now. With Andre Drummond, that makes things a lot tougher.
And if you don't win the first round, I'm going to have to be subjected to Andre Drummond slander for the rest of the playoffs.
Listen, I will stop the Andre Drummond slander. You know what? I agree. I'll say I agree with you guys in terms of like giving you 20 minutes. Boom. That's fine. Okay. The problem is Anthony Davis. There should not be 20 minutes being even played by anyone at the center spot that isn't Anthony Davis. Anthony Davis should be playing 36, 38 minutes a game just at center. If you look at every single advanced stat that exists, or just normal stat, Anthony Davis, tremendously better playing center, and basically always has been. And sure, Anthony Davis, you don't want to get, like, he doesn't really, I guess, like, you know, getting bodied around at the center position during the regular season. That's fine. It's the playoffs. It's time to win. Play Anthony Davis as much as you can at the center position. That's just my thing. And you've got wings, you know, at this point, you got to just hope they make their shots because they've just been so incredibly off. But they've got talent at the wing positions in order, like, and you put LeBron at power forward. It's a natural progression. LeBron has gotten older. He's lost a little bit of a step. You know, he's still 6'8". He's still a giant human being.
I'll give it to you. AD is a lot better at center. And I'll also say this, when you move Bron to power forward, you make life a little bit easier for Bron, spacing wise, but beyond spacing wise, there's more creators on the floor. The Lakers have like this giant problem with just getting guys that can create their own shot or any type of offense on the floor with LeBron James. And honestly, I think that's wearing on him a ton in this playoff series.
Yeah, I think they expected Schroeder to step up a lot more than he has. And we could look back at this as, I mean, remember, they did not give up Taylor Horton-Tucker. They did not want to include him in the Kyle Lowry trade.
Schroeder, I think Schroeder's gone, man. I think his body language has been really telling. Like, if he resigns, I'll be shocked. I think something
I'm just confused what has happened.
The audacity of Schroeder, bro.
The contract negotiations. Go ahead,
Mike. I think that pissed him off that much.
This man turned down $80 million and went 0 for 9 last night. Like, what? You know,
here, I'll defend Schroeder in terms of like $80 million for 4 years. Like, it was $84 million, I think, for 4 years. Like, that is a contract that is actually well within his means with the stats that he put up the last 2 years. If you look at his stats, I'm not talking about these playoffs. I know you're about to flip out because of these playoffs. I'm not talking about these playoffs. I'm just saying, in terms of the last 2 years, like his full body of work, regular season, $20 million in this day and age of cap space is not crazy. Evan Fournier is looking for $20 million a year, you know? So for him to turn it down and look for more isn't crazy. Like, he just wasn't accepting the contract extension at that time. That doesn't mean that in 3 months he wasn't going to accept it. You know, he was just betting on himself to outplay he was betting on himself realistically. Let's just be real here. He was betting on himself to step up come playoff time and to be a part of a Lakers giant playoff run and then get handsomely paid for it. That's not what's
I don't know,
happening.
man. I don't know. This is probably too conspiracy theorist like or whatever, but I don't know, man. Just the vibes between him and Bron have just kind of felt off. And then there was that whole thing where he kind of unintentionally leaked that Bron.
Yeah, you're right. You are right.
Yeah.
Wait, what?
Right.
Tell me.
I like this conspiracy.
Leaked what?
He leaked
Leaked
like
what?
LeBron's anti-vax, that he hasn't gotten vaccinated. He did it in Germany, in German though, but
wow, we're really last year's Clippers. This is nuts. I didn't even think of that. If we lose,
and I
bro,
mean, hey man,
point.
If we lose this first round, like you know how we were all making Los Angeles Clipper drama behind the scenes videos last year, bro, that might happen to us, like the Lakers this year, and it's gonna suck. But
I can't wait. Yes.
Oh my god, yeah. You can't wait.
How about
right.
Montrezl Harrell's cryptic tweets? Like those.
Oh my god, yeah. Montrezl.
Well, you can't blame him. He's just not playing as much.
Oh yeah, I don't blame him at all. I'm with them. Like, I can't believe they took to the fourth quarter to play him last game. Like, that's a joke.
He's only played in 3 games this series.
Yeah, that's a joke
the
right
Clippers,
there.
I mean, it was like a similar situation with the Clippers last year. Like, in
No,
my
it
perception.
wasn't. No,
Hold on, let me finish.
My bad. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry.
When the Clippers went up against the Denver Nuggets, he was minus 30 against another good center in Nikola Jokic, so he was seen as a liability. I could understand that Montrezl Harrell might be a liability against Frank Kaminsky and DeAndre Ayton.
He said Frank Kaminsky. Why not just say DeAndre Ayton and let it be done? Why would you say Frank Kaminsky?
Because
What?
Because I don't think Montrezl Harrell's a good defender at all.
Frank Kaminsky, all you have to do is stand at the perimeter and just stand in front of him.
I could guard Frank Kaminsky. All due respect to Frank.
Like, what? Frank Kaminsky is shooting 14% in the playoffs. 14%. Why did you mention his name? You didn't have to. He's averaging 1 point a game. Why did you say Frank Kaminsky? I think you said him first.
Frank Kaminsky.
I said DeAndre Ayton and Frank Kaminsky.
No, you didn't, and I'll bet you money. I will bet money. You said Frank Kaminsky and DeAndre.
Yeah, is Frank Kaminsky in your room right now?
Yeah, is he holding you hostage, dude? I mean, we still have a lot of series to finish up here, so we've got a lot to talk about, guys. Make sure you are subscribed to the podcast. Make sure you go follow on Apple, subscribe on Apple and Spotify and all that. And do we have any final words?
I need a drink.
If you're still here while the music is cued, here are 2 videos I think you are definitely going to enjoy. Make sure to click on one of them. Again, I know you're gonna love it. And other than that, have a great day and peace.